Hello! So today I decided I would make a new segment called Chaotic Cooking with Anna because whenever I'm in the kitchen, I mess things up terribly. I'm very bad at cooking. I'm terrible at baking, but I have to ice these cookies, and so I'm just gonna do a little chat while cooking. So I kind of briefly talked about this in my last video, so I just thought I would go more in depth about this topic, and it is procrastination. But kind of overall just work, and just like goals and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about that. When it comes to working, whether it's schoolwork or personal work or a job, I tend to be easily motivated, mostly because I have high expectations of myself, and I'm afraid that if I don't do well, then if I don't put in my best effort, then I immediately fail at what I'm doing. And if I don't do what I'm expected to, then I just feel terrible at myself. And I used to be really bad at procrastinating. And at one point I didn't do my work, I didn't study, my grades were just dropping at a very, very fast rate. And it was mostly because I was in a really bad spot. It was near the end of middle school, which was only a couple months ago, and my mental health was just plummeting, and I didn't have any motivation, and it wasn't like a senioritis sort of thing, because I was leaving middle school, I guess, but it was more of like I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to take charge of my life. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to do any of this. I don't have time to do it. And I would have this like cloud of guilt hanging over my head, thinking, well, since you're not doing this, you have no purpose. I was just having terrible thoughts and terrible feelings, and the only way I could fix that was by putting in my best effort and actually living up to the expectations of the people, my teachers basically. It was mostly my teachers who actually expected me of things. Like, once my teacher literally pulled me aside and said, "Anna, you're a good student, and I don't understand why you're not participating in class. I don't understand why you're not turning in your work." And I just kind of stood there. I didn't have an answer, I didn't have a response, I didn't have an excuse or anything, so I just said, "Yes, ma'am," and then I left. And it was really terrible. It was just, I wasn't working and I felt terrible about it. Basically, the main motivator for me is guilt and regret. I have the worst fear of regret, which is why I do so many things. It's because, I started this YouTube channel because I'm also afraid of regretting not remembering my past and not remembering my high school experience, and I really don't want to regret anything. I was procrastinating on making the YouTube channel actually for so long, until finally I was like, you're gonna regret this, you're gonna resent yourself for it, so you have to do it now. And that's basically my only source of motivation. All of my grades is just because, if you don't do this, then your grades are gonna drop and you're gonna feel terrible about it. I'm not sure if that's a healthy form of motivation, but it's what gets me through. And I'm not quite sure why I feel guilt about it. I started working on my schoolwork and I started picking back up my grades because there was really only one source of motivation, and that was Conan Gray. He inspired me to do absolutely everything that I do now. He inspired me to write music, he inspired me to play the guitar, he inspired me to do my work, because I saw this hard-working kid who came from absolutely nothing, and I thought to myself, damn, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not going to make it in this world if I don't do work, if I don't go ahead and get it done, because there's not a lot of time. I never think that there's enough time. It's just like time's flying by and I'm wasting everything. And I don't want to regret this when I'm 30 years old, living in my parents' basement. That's an exaggeration. Not doing well and thinking I didn't put in the work and I didn't put in the effort. Like I said before, I don't think that's healthy, but it's why I would say that I'm ambitious. You don't have to feel that way. You don't have to feel guilty for not doing your work, and if you struggle with motivation, then set small goals. I always struggled with setting small goals. I've always made long-term goals. I've always thought, oh, if I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and I do this, then I will achieve this in a year. Like I work towards things that are like months ahead that I can't really do a lot about now, but if I take those small steps, then I will. But I think some things that are short-term goals, like if I finish my homework today, then I'll be able to do whatever I want. If I finish this assignment, or if I finish studying, or if I feel confident in this information for my test tomorrow or whatever, then I'll be able to do what I want. It's just like these kinds of short-term goals. And I love playing the guitar, and I love using the guitar to procrastinate. I'm like, okay, if I finish my work, then I can sing all my favorite songs, and I can relax, and I can draw, and I can chill, and I can just like have a good evening where I'm not worried about anything and I'm not stressed about anything tomorrow because I'm prepared. And preparation is also important for the long run, so that's the skill that I'm already trying to improve so that I can do well. And I feel like time is so short, especially like now I'm in high school, now things actually matter. Now I have to get into a good college, and I'm already thinking about college, even though most freshmen shouldn't be thinking about college. If you're, like just starting high school, then definitely don't be thinking about college. But that's just something that I've sort of always had in the back of my mind. I've started thinking about that ever since I took my first honors class. Like, I've just thought, okay, if I do this, then I'll get into a good college, and I'll be able to do what I want to do. And that's a long-term goal, but I think short-term goals, like, if I finish my work, then I can do this. If I finish my work, then I can go be with my friends and I can hang out without worrying about anything. Another really terrible thing is that after I set these short-term goals, my work ethic starts to slip. And I don't put in my actual best effort, and I start just rushing through it trying to get the assignment done. But then in the end, I get a bad grade for it anyways because I just am not putting my best effort forth. And the only thing that I can suggest about that is if I do my best work, then I'll feel like I accomplished something. Like, I'll feel proud of my work. Or someone will. Even if you don't, someone will. Your teacher will say, this is exemplary, or your parent will say, oh, you got a good grade on this, or your friends will say, oh my gosh, how did you get that grade? Like, there has to be some way that someone can feel proud of your work. Even if it's just a small comment like, oh my gosh, you're doing well, or, oh, that's good, that's improvement. It's just whatever fits you best. But I do suggest, trying some techniques. And the amount of times that I've looked up on WikiHow how to stop procrastinating or how to do my best work is a lot. But I think it's important that you know how to do work so that you don't, end up suffering when you're older. I mean, that's just me though, probably, but I worry about so much, and I've got this constant anxiety in the back of my mind that if I don't do work, then I'll just fail at life and I won't be able to do things that I want to do when I'm older. And, like, success is loving what you do and doing what you love, is just really an important thing to me. One last thing I want to talk about is planning, because I am a huge planner. I try to be flexible. I really, really try, but I love to plan, and I love to have everything made sure in advance so that when something's due, I already have that down. And so I remember to do things so I don't miss anything. And it's made my life so much better. I started planning this year, and it's really been making everything easier. And consistency is also really important, because I started planning at the beginning of 8th grade, and it just slowly started dropping, and I slowly started forgetting about it, and then eventually it led to me not doing the work at all and just saying, oh no, I forgot. But really, I didn't. I just didn't bother actually writing it down. And so these things that are, sorry, this sprinkle's being really annoying. I don't understand what's going on. I can't wait to show you these. half of these I did like off camera, so I definitely didn't do all of this in 20 minutes. But I just think that the most important things are setting small goals, and if you need to, set long-term goals, but don't put too much pressure on yourself to start, because then you probably just set attainable goals. And then planning and finding some sort of motivator and some sort of reason to do things. Yeah, that's my take on that. I hope that I gave you some good advice. If not, then I'm sorry. But I hope that you do take into consideration the airplane, the things that I've said, and yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll show a little clip of my terrible cookies. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next Sunday, which will be I'll see you next Sunday, which will be actually on December 24th. So I hope you have a great holiday. Most people are on breaks, so I hope that goes well for you. And yeah, have a great week. I'll see you in next Sunday, and have a great life. Bye.